Hello, John Griffin here from Uini Research with a special edition of Your Connection. Today is June 6, 2020. And as some of you may know, based off of our posts in the Facebook Paranormal Puzzle group, I've been trying to get this video up for a little while now. Yesterday I had to, was the main day where I was trying to do a lot of filming, and it just, everything that could possibly go wrong for every single attempt went wrong. Which that seems to be typical. Every time that I'm about to release some potentially revealing, groundbreaking, incredible, any of those combination of information in relation to the paranormal that could be beneficial for society, uh, it's just like automatically that's when I run into problems in some way. And it's funny because I mean, yesterday was more of a electrical issue where sometimes it's other issues that happen, and some of them are going to be in relation to why I'm going to be talking about some of the specific research today. So, going a little bit further into this slide may look very familiar to you, except there's one change, and just like I have in past Your Connection episodes, I'm going to pick on myself again. The change to this slide is I've learned how to spell paranormal. Yep, yep. And now that means everybody who watches is going to go back to my last Your Connection video from this past Sunday and realize that on this slide I put paranormal, something to that effect. I was debating on whether that was going to be the new name of the field. It was frowned upon by myself upon noticing, so yeah, poor joke. Moving on. So we had this slide, and the reason I showed this last time was because we've been making, whether some members of Uini Research or myself continuously make predictions in regards to paranormal/society related events and the connections thereof. And we've had quite a track record. Now, usually I'm the one who puts them out there. Some of the other team members on Uini Research have been learning on how I do this, and they've a bunch of the team members have started putting together how to do it, and they've seen the accuracy, but there needs to be more research behind it. Now, these quotes here, you have predicted everything correctly so far and stop being right all the time, was from somebody who has been following the page, and we've had private conversations and such. And this was a message that came within the past probably week or so, because my latest predictions ended up happening. So I wanted to go a little bit further into detail about that. As many of you already know, and for those who are new to Uini Research's approach, we use what's called the paranormal puzzle approach. And basically, that's our method of researching. As some of you may know, Uini Research does not just focus on spiritual activity. We focus on everything within the paranormal. We believe that if you can, by looking into many different aspects, many different subjects, you can end up connecting the pieces which result in the full picture, explaining how everything works. And you'd be surprised at some of the topics it ends up leading us into. When it comes down to the last slide about predicting some of the events and such, not in great detail, but some things that we should expect more paranormal-wise. These are some of the things that we do, such as what we call paranormal chess, which there are other people in the field that I think they use a different variation. It's something chess, maybe spiritual chess or something to that effect. And with that, it's basically trying to determine what the next moves are based off of specific scenarios. So we'll look at these scenarios and we start to see the direction that society may be heading in, and trying to bring the paranormal into this, the spiritual activity and such, to see if there's some type of connection, and based off of that, what potential events may occur. But that means we have to take into consideration politics, religion, prophecies, ancient texts such as like Torah codes and such. And some of those go hand in hand. Current emotional state, how is everyone in this day and age? And I mean more broadly, like more globally, as opposed to just, you know, a few people here and there. Like if there's a large political event, a large religious event, how are people responding to that? Like, how are people feeling about it, and how is that affecting everybody? Numerology and zodiac, it's something that we've added in. There's some studies that say that it's pretty accurate, and then there's some studies that say numerology and zodiac is not accurate. I'm very neutral on it right now. I figured we'll throw it in there, see if we get anything out of it, measure it based off of statistics that we get from it, and see what happens. There's also weather, natural disasters, which can affect a lot of what you see above there, whether it be politics, religion, prophecies coming into play with that, the current emotional state, and such. Society, government interactions, again, going on a global scale, trends with spiritual and UFO activities. Now, why UFO activity? Well, that leads into not just the ufology portion, but that leads into the religious aspect, and believe it or not, in some spiritual aspects too. So, but the most important thing that's really looked at is history. History is very important. We can see trends. We could see the direction. And this is where it comes into that, you know, like, let's say reincarnation truly does exist, and we're continuously coming back to better ourselves. What are we, you know, for our spirit in the, you know, in the end, for our consciousness to be taken to another level? This is where history is more, you know, there's the physical aspect, but I'm looking at it also, again, from that paranormal aspect. Does the paranormal play any role within history? And can we see the trends? Are we going to repeat the same thing over and over again? And as we've seen, humanity does it constantly. We constantly do it, with different variations, of course. There's different events. Sometimes things turn out differently. But this is very important right here. But a lot of times, paranormal is not considered. That's where we're changing that part. I wanted to play this. This is just part of it, like 20 seconds of it. There's a quote in there that somebody narrated from me that I said back in 2011. It was when I was developing a hypothesis surrounding all this. So it was towards the beginning of Uini Research's life. So I just want to play that portion real quick. This is the prologue to our web series, which of course the pandemic had an effect on. We were getting close to releasing chapter 1, but things have been delayed a bit. So I just want to play a little bit for you. Let's see if I can get to...
It is believed that spiritual entities can appear in dreams, possess their physical body, move objects, effect electrical appliances, plant thoughts in our minds, influence a person's behavior, and can alter human emotion when in their presence. If this is true, how does this impact our society?
Okay, and the reason I wanted to play that quote is not just for, obviously, the date, but also because of the importance behind the information that's being provided in there. That was the development of the hypothesis of just how much, if you think about it, how much an entity could potentially do. You know, you have this invisible entity that's typically invisible, moving objects, opening and closing doors, draining people, potentially changing emotional states, inserting visions and dream, or appearing in dreams, um, manifesting all these different things that an entity without a physical body are capable of doing. And it made me wonder just how much, I don't know if it's the right word, but power an entity or entities truly have. And I wanted to understand more about if this is something that they're capable of doing, how are they doing it? And I wanted to put a measurement to it. So yes, there's all that stuff about the predictions and stuff like that, but this is another part of that research. So there's many categories to this research, and I'm hoping that it's if the hypothesis is right, it's going to lead back to the answer. But from the neutral standpoint, I have to take into consideration that, well, apologies about that. I need to take the neutral standpoint that the hypothesis that we're developing, it's morphed over the years, but it's been heading in a specific direction. But I need, as always, as a researcher, to prepare myself and the team that the hypothesis could be wrong, and just we may do a complete 180 and it just may not be what we think it is. Right now, the current research that we're doing in regards to the prediction for paranormal and society-related activity relates to the human and spiritual emotion, and just how much of an impact we or entities have on each other, and do entities essentially use us as chess pieces? If you really think about it, and that goes into that paranormal chess. Are we essentially guided? And if so, how are we guided? There were points that one of the members from our team added in about how you could enter a room that an entity might be in, and you're just, the environment change, your emotions, they change, your feelings change, and all of a sudden you become sad. Sometimes you start getting these thoughts in your head that it doesn't seem like it's really your thought. Now, whether this is actually legitimate or not, again, very neutral on this, but it's something to take into consideration. It's almost like if you ever saw the movie Wonder Woman. And it's funny, when I saw this, because saw it in theaters, because my heart just almost like sunk when I saw it, and I was just like, "Whoa, this is like something out of the hypothesis." Where there's this one entity that passes by, and it's in influences, it gives an idea for somebody that's for one of the humans in the movie, because obviously there was the gods and then the regular humans, and then they came up, this person was able to come up with the idea because they were influenced. So what if our ideas are not always ours? Which, if you look through all the ancient texts, it indicates that is a good possibility. However, we weren't there at those times. Well, at least if reincarnation is a thing, our current selves weren't there at that time. So to talk a bit about the hypothesis real quick, the person's soul is not fully in the body. This is leading to the aura. It's a possibility that the aura, like that not just around the head, but around the body, may in fact be the soul. We always tend to think that the soul is just in the body, and then when we pass, it comes out. But I've always been wondering if what that aura is, if it is actually a thing, or does it act like an antenna? Spiritual entities use this to implant thoughts and or alter the emotional state of a person. People can alter emotional states of others, including entities, by the energy they project. A person or entity can change the feel of the environment, resulting in the altering of the emotional state of the surrounding people and or entities. So how much power do we truly have? It's said that everything, all energy vibrates. And as we've seen, like light is there's for different colors different vibrations, with sound different vibrations, and the effects that light and sound can have on a person. I wanted to explore this a little bit further, which leads into, now this is the basic, this hypothesis right here. It's far longer, it's far more in depth. I just wanted to give some quick bullet points, which some of these should sound kind of familiar. They are from some things that are talked about in the field, but it actually goes deeper. I wanted to give some of the more main points here. But that leads to the new piece of equipment that we're in the process of purchasing. This is a huge purchase. So the choice to purchase this equipment was not taken lightly. I spent years determining whether I was going to do this or not. On top of that, the amount of money that this thing costs, oh boy. But this was, from what I saw, one of the best things that I could find, especially since it has the reports, the charts, and everything. I mean, I'm a numbers person. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a numbers person. I like to analyze data. And this comes with that built in. Now, there's many, many, many experiments that I'm looking to do with this. Many. And some you're going to see. Some of it's going to be in Paranormal Puzzle Chapter 2. When we go to Wildwood Sanitarium this month, that's when we're going to be filming that, as well as some other separate videos that we'll be developing to go along with it. You're going to see many different variations of it, and trying to capture specific data that may lead credence to the current hypothesis that we're developing, or it could completely dismiss everything that we ever thought, or maybe this is a piece of equipment just it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. I've heard a lot of really good reviews about it. I am not, I of course am not 100% sure, just like with any piece of equipment, I'm never 100% sure. This is something that's far different than I've ever purchased before. So, I mean, maybe some of you who have already dealt with this, feel free to leave comments, let me know. But I'm in the final stage of purchasing this. I'm going through the contract process, and it's hopefully this will lead to exactly what I've been looking to try to get, because this is basically one of the final steps. I don't want to go into exactly what we're planning to do right now with the equipment, but you'll see very soon. So I wanted to hit some of the basic predictions, and not really in depth, but these next few months, I'm going to say within 3 to 4 months, who knows, it could go longer than that, spiritual demonic activity will spike significantly over the next few months. In my opinion, there is no doubt about that. Everything that I'm seeing right now is lining right up. A continued increase in depression, anxiety, and anger. This is what's been happening. This year has just sucked. There's one thing that we need to take into consideration with everything that's going on out there, and a lot of people feel that the virus has just disappeared. Well, since people are all gathering together, is the possibility that this is what's going to create the second wave. Now, I would like to make mention that if the second wave happens, and then another government shutdown happens, we get the stay-at-home orders and all that. We already saw how a few months of stay-at-home order just caused so much emotional pain, depression, suicide rates were up. People were starting to know. There were articles coming out. I said that spiritual activity was going to massively increase over this. And then were articles of people noticing, oh, ghosts are around. Now, part of it could be they're home all the time now for the people who were considered non-essential. Um, that's a possibility. But remember, the emotional part played a role. And I knew this from the start because all people were really going to have is social media. They weren't going to have that human-to-human interaction. Right now, we have that interaction. Right now, it's not. It's a very tense environment. So this is just going to add to it. What happens if we get another second wave? And on top of that, with everything that's going on right now, all the anger, all the outrage, what is this going to do spiritually? Probably going to be what I may mention above. UFO activity will spike during the next few months leading into the fall. I'm calling it. I believe there's going to be some prophecies that go behind this. This year has been nothing short of just wow. The weird part is that in 2015, and then one presentation at the beginning of 2016, I made mention. It was an end of days presentation, and I think it was called end of days research results or something to that effect, where I took a bunch of the years of research and put it together. And I said between 2018 2020 we might see the end of the end, which is not really the end. When people mention the end of the world, it's like, oh, this is it, humanity's done. Actually, no, it's a new beginning, based off of all the ancient texts, but who knows? We have to see where this goes. One of the last things I said is that I did not feel that the world was going to make it past 2020. That if 2018, it was a possibility that that's where we would see everything just come to a head. It started to build. 2020, we saw how this year has been. It's been absolutely insane. However, of course, we really don't know for sure. But the time period, the fact that I even said that back in 2015 based off of the data that I had at that point is just absolutely incredible that everything that's been going on. Now, I'm not going to say that I sat here and I predicted that this was going to happen because of a virus, that was going to be one of the major things that happened, and then all these other events that have occurred after that. It was just that based off of what I was seeing, we were heading there. And it's always, that's what we're looking at is, well, what happens if this happens? And what happens if this happens? And what happens if this happens? I look at these different scenarios, but I never know, at least at this point, which scenario is going to happen. I have to wait to see which scenario is starting to play out to determine the direction that we're heading in. More visions, dreams about events will occur rapidly over the next few months. Literally, when I said about the increase in visions and dreams about end of days and stuff related to the pandemic and other few months thereafter, that day, within 2 hours, a video was released about somebody who had a dream about the pandemic and the anger and everything that was going to be coming out of it and how much this was going to create a problem in the world. And it continued from there. So that's all I have at this point. That's a very, I know this video went on, I mean, for me, it went on longer than expected. But in all honesty, that's actually not a lot of information. In my opinion, this is something that I would have to cover for hours to really go over, and I may do it at some point. I may do it in like pieces to show why we're in this, heading in this direction, why I'm, looking at the things I'm looking at, why I believe the things that I currently believe right now. But again, as being a researcher, I have to remain in a neutral state of mind that I have the potential of being wrong. And that's a big part of being a researcher. So any questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments section. Feel free to shoot me a message. Always interested in hearing what people think or any ideas that may come across based off of the information that you see here. And of course, we're going to follow up once we're moving forward with this research. We're going to keep everyone up to date on what's going on. Other than that, hope everyone, hope others are doing well. And hopefully we can start moving towards a more, we're heading into our second half of 2020. Hopefully we can see a bunch of positivity that comes out of everything that's been going on, because the first half of 2020 has been nothing more than, you know, that that meme where it's like, but wait, there's more. So let's see what happens. All right. Other than that, take care, everyone. Everyone's in my thoughts and prayers, and I wish everyone all the best. Thank you.